football season. And what better way to kick off football season? What better way to close off Labor Day weekend than with the, we are just guessing here because I forgot to go back and look, 5th annual Sports Hub Patriots preview Labor Day show. Alex Barth, Matt Dolloff from 98.5thesportshub.com. We did the first one with Joe Murray.
Yes. I believe you're right, Barth. I believe this is the 5th year in a row we've done this.
It's 4th or 5th. I know that. It's one of those two, but this is what we're going to do for the next 2 hours. We will give you our Patriots preview for those of you who listen to the Sports Hub Patriots podcast or the Patriots Hub podcast. They let us basically come on air and do the podcast once a year for the season preview. So as we get started here, Dolphin, if you guys want to call in, we have a rundown, but we can talk about what you want to talk about. 617-779-0985. Big picture. So last year, I was going through the rundown from last year, right? And because I wanted to find it and just, okay, what did we do? Get an idea. And the first thing we talked about was first offseason post Bill Belichick. And how do we feel they did, the hire of Gerard Mayo, the personnel moves they made, and on and on and on. Obviously, most of that didn't go very great. But it wasn't maybe the overhaul we were playing it up to be because Bill had moved on, and that was significant. But the volume wasn't there as much as we thought. Coming into this season, and Mike Vrabel said today the roster he thinks is more or less settled for week 1. There were 27 players on the Patriots active roster who were not on the active roster last year. Some people have 26. DJ James was on the practice squad. Split it however you want. The point is, that's basically half. That's either one player under half or one player over half of last year's roster completely overturned. That is massive in the scale of the NFL. Usually you get up to 40%. That's pretty significant roster turnover. This is truly, and by the way, the entire coaching staff outside of special teams turned over as well. This is truly a brand new team. Last year felt like a carryover. They were kind of changing the way they were doing things within their philosophy, but it was the same philosophy. This year, Matt, truly feels new. Whether or not it works, we will see. But it's going to be very different. I think this is going to feel maybe more jarring going from Mayo to Vrabel than it did from Belichick to Mayo.
Yeah, it's Mike Vrabel's team now, Barthy. And I think they've made enough changes to the roster, definitely on the coaching staff, where we're kind of running out of excuses as far as past failures of the roster and past drafting. You know, the draft class was probably a Vrabel, Ryan Cowden class as opposed to an Elliott Wolf, Matt Groh class.
Yep.
So the rookies are Vrabel's guys. And, you know, Josh McDaniels, we'll see if he and Vrabel can be on the same page. But other than that, he brought in his own guys, Terrell Williams to run the defense, Thomas Brown on offense. He brought in experienced, competent guys to coach the team as well.
And so, people who have been in their roles before.
Right. And so, like, going into last season, I was saying, you know, there's probably a chance that they could be a better coach team just by virtue of everybody sort of pulling in the same direction. Probably underestimated the incompetence of the actual coaches that would be in play there.
Well, they were all pulling in the same direction.
Just not a good one.
Wrong direction.
Right. They were all pulling perfectly in the exact wrong direction. So this year, I believe, you know, for the most part, guys are going to be pulling in the same direction. I think Vrabel and McDaniels is maybe something to watch there. But the coaching staff is competent, experienced, and, you know, it seems like they're mostly on the same page there. And then you mentioned the roster. I was going through it earlier, Barth, and then I know that it's the unofficial depth chart on the Patriots website, but those guys in the front of the line, those are guys that are at least going to, if they're not going to start, they're going to be playing a lot.
Yep.
I counted 12 guys. So
12,
not just half the roster.
What, new starters?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, at the front of the depth chart.
I thought you were talking about like the offensive and defensive line. Okay.
No. All throughout the roster.
First stringers.
All three phases, first stringers.
Yep.
You're talking, call it half of their starters, half of their 20 key players.
22, essentially 11 on offense, 11 on defense. It's, about half.
Exactly, about half of the roster. And so this is going to go back to something Vrabel said in his opening press conference is, can they take advantage of bad football? And Vrabel said at that time, it was in January, right after he got hired, I don't know that we're good enough to take advantage of bad football. They better be now because he just overhauled half the roster. Half of the starters are going to be Vrabel guys. And so these guys better be ready to at least not be the ones playing bad football and be the guys taking advantage of bad football. I think that alone and good coaching can take the team a long way from where they were last year. That can at least get them back to the middle of the pack. I think we are talking about an 8 or 9 win team this year. That I think that's a fair, realistic kind of expectation for them. But a lot of that is going to be riding on the coaching staff and the changes they've made on the roster. And I think everybody's got to pull in the same direction, and they got to prove that not only did they pick the right guys, but they can get the most out of the guys that they brought in.
So those are opening takes on the Patriots season. Opening takes are brought to you by Super Service Today, Massachusetts' #1 provider for residential and commercial plumbing, heating, cooling, and drain cleaning. Day or night and always done right. Visit superservicetoday.com. All right, we use the word new there a lot and overhauled, indifferent. What does that mean? How does that tangibly present itself? What are some of the new things we're going to see? What do we think the core tenets of this team are going to be? Offensively, I think that question is a little easier to answer. It's Josh McDaniels, and it's not going to be the Brady offense exactly. It's not going to be the Cam Newton offense exactly. It's not going to be the Mac Jones offense exactly. He's going to tailor it to Drake May's skill set. So probably a little more shotgun than we're used to with McDaniels, but not entirely shotgun. We're going to see the mix and match personnel. Going to see some 21, going to see some 12. The fullback is back. I don't think there'll be a massive game-to-game through line. We'll see him kind of game plan and attack different weaknesses as opposed to playing the strengths. I think it's pretty... The one thing I'd like to see more, and I talked about this with Mark Dondero and Felger and Maz, I'd like to see some more RPOs than we've traditionally seen from him. But if it's still that we're going to work on the clock, we're going to play mistake-free football, we're going to take calculated shots, it doesn't mean nickel and diming, because I think with Drake May, and they did this some with Cam Newton, they knew when to take a shot. In later career Brady, obviously, but I don't want to necessarily compare the two there. But I think we're going to see a relatively familiar Josh McDaniels offense. Some new wrinkles, but I think the basis is going to be the same from what we saw the past, 2021 before.
Yeah, and you mentioned taking shots down the field. I think that's going to be an area that's going to look different, and it's going to be an area that he's going to tailor it to Drake May's strengths, hopefully, is the downfield passing game. And so, Tom Brady offense, he obviously took his shots down the field. He didn't have a bad arm, of course, but it's not like the deep ball was a huge part of their offense outside of when they had Randy Moss,
Right.
But that is Drake May's strength, is to, if a play breaks down, he can get out of the pocket and drop a 50-yard dime on the run. We saw him do that in camp with that throw he made to Pop Douglas, which was one of his best plays of the summer, maybe the best play of the summer that he made. We know he's capable of doing that. Can Josh McDaniels, sort of incorporate that into the passing game, not necessarily always having to run outside the pocket and make a throw, but take more deep shots down the field? I think, I don't think he wants to make Drake May a dink and dunk quarterback.
Sure.
Now, I know that you're probably going to have training wheels are a little strong, but, second year in the league, first year in a new offense, we could see a 2021 Mac Jones-esque approach in terms of being a little cautious, protecting the ball, like you said, limiting mistakes. But you got to see them, incorporate the big plays in the passing game. I think that's how they're going to, maximize their scoring potential on offense. And so that's what I'm going to be watching for McDaniels to incorporate.
Defense is going to look... So, the offense, it's new to what we've seen the last few years. It's going to be familiar to Patriots fans from the past. The defense is very new. We're not two-gapping anymore, right? That thing's gone.
No more read and react.
260-pound linebackers coming downhill. That's not the game plan anymore.
Keep your gap.
They got more athletic, more explosive, quicker. They did get smaller. That comes with that up front. This is a much more attacking defense. It's not about contain and lane discipline. It's get in the backfield, wreak havoc for the defensive line, and then the linebackers will clean it up, as opposed to in the past, and this is oversimplified a little bit, but basically the defensive linemen almost functioned like offensive linemen to move the offensive linemen so the linebackers could make plays. Now it's the defensive line getting aggressive and making the plays, and you're going to have Robert Spillane, who's a very important player for them, Matt, flowing sideline to sideline and using that athleticism and those instincts to clean it up when things get through. The secondary is kind of the same. Mike Vrabel said it today. They're going to play a lot of man coverage. Christian Gonzalez obviously has to be healthy for them to be at their peak. He didn't practice today. We'll get into the Raiders game specifically in a little bit, but the other thing defensively, and I love this, what's the one word they keep bringing up when we ask them about the mentality on defense? What's that one word we keep hearing coaches say?
Violence?
Violence, that's correct. Sign me up.
A for me today.
Let's see
gold
it.
Star.
Good start. I'm excited to see this defense. Again, it's going to look different. I don't know that, and I said this to somebody, like I was explaining this to someone who's not like an X's and O's nerd, and well, that sounds like, so we're just going to, quarterbacks are going to be scrambling anywhere and they can't stop the run and it's going to be undisciplined, and why would they go from that when the old system worked? It's not really one system's better than the other. It's all about personnel. They both work at a high level when you have the right coaches and the right players operating within it. That's part of the reason there's so much overhaul, is because they had to get the players, especially up front, that could run in this system. So it's different. Whether it's better or worse, if they have the players, it'll look good. And I think for the most part, they have the players. They could use a few more guys. But I'm excited to see what this defense looks like.
Right, it's going to look different, right?
It's
going to be much more aggressive than what we're used to seeing. It's not going to be the bend but don't break defense. But like you said, Barth, that comes down to personnel. Like the bend but don't break defense under Bill Belichick, it was terrible in 2010 when they had no players other than Vince Wilfork. But, then you fast forward to 2014 and 2016, and you got an elite secondary, and you got more guys up front. You got great linebacking. Then all of a sudden it works. And we're going to see if it works with the personnel they have. It's going to work in terms of pass rush. I think they are going to get after the quarterback. I think that's going to be something that they can hang their hat on this year. I think, Milton Williams is going to be able to slice up the middle there, and Christian Barmore, when he's at his best, if he's healthy, he has game wrecker potential on the interior. Kayvon Chason had a great summer. Looks like he could be in line for something of a breakthrough year. Like, I'm not saying he's going to be an elite pass rusher or anything like that, but he could be a good edge rusher for them. Harold Landry, good, solid player still. And so I think up front, they've got plenty to be able to get after the quarterback. They're going to be, when they're at their best, they're going to be getting in the backfield, creating negative plays. And yes, there's a trade-off there. The trade-off is, they might give up a big play from here and there. They might not be able to. They might have trouble stopping the run. They might, let the offense open up holes in the interior because they over-pursue and they get too aggressive. And so there's a trade-off with everything. The trade-off with the bend but don't break is that you run into a smart quarterback with a lot of weapons. Right. He can take a dunk and march his way down the field, and you'll score a touchdown in 10 plays and not turn the ball over because it's a good, smart player going.
And long-term, it's draining.
Yeah.
And if you have a lesser offense, which the Patriots are still building their offense up, you have to be, and I'm not saying that the guys they have now are out of shape, but you have to be incredibly well conditioned. There were games where they play 65, 70 snaps on defense. And that's exhausting. And you got to have the depth and the stamina to do that. This team does not have depth. The stamina, like Vrabel ran a tough camp. I'm not worried about the stamina. The depth isn't there. So being able to create on defense, get off the field, create turnovers, something they really struggled with last year. I think for all the issues with the offense, their inability to force turnovers last year was understated at times. This is a play-making defense. This is not a play-stopping defense. This is a play-making defense. So we'll see how they make plays. We're going to dig more into all of that, but there is one more personnel note I wanted to hit on because, as you kind of said there, it's Jimmys and Joes, not X's and O's. We got a lot of new Jimmys and Joes on this team. One group in particular that, especially after this week, to me, will be squarely in the spotlight in 2025. Sink or swim year for this one group of Patriots. We'll get into that next. It's Alex Barth and Matt Dolloff on the Patriots Labor Day season preview.
Patriots Preview 2025 on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Baseball fans, enjoy Blue Moon Light this season. A light and refreshing citrus-sweet beer from the Blue Moon Brewing Company. With only 95 calories, Blue Moon Light is brewed with real tangerine peel for a subtle sweetness and a smooth finish. Enjoy Blue Moon Light today. MassDOT's deal with Applegreen could leave Massachusetts taxpayers up to $900 million short. That's not speculation. KPMG confirms Applegreen's rent wouldn't even reach today's levels until 2053. That's decades of lost revenue for our state. Why would they lock down a deal that sells out our future? MassDOT must pause the contract until the Senate investigation is complete. We deserve transparency, we deserve accountability, and we deserve a deal that puts Massachusetts first.
At Gulf, we're Red Sox fans just like you. We love Fenway. We love Fenway Franks. We love Wally. We even have a green monster replica. And at Gulf, we also love when the Red Sox win, especially on the road. So when the Red Sox win on the road this regular season, you win at the pump with Road Win Rewards. Save 10 cents off per gallon with Gulf Pay when the Red Sox win on the road. See Red Sox and Gulf Pay road win promotion terms and conditions. MasterCard accepted. Gulf is proud to be the official fuel partner of the Boston Red Sox.
All right, lottery alert here. Powerball's now over $1 billion. I will say it again, $1 billion. What are you waiting for? Start ordering your lottery tickets with the safe and easy-to-use Jackpocket app, where you can order lottery tickets right on your smartphone. Jackpocket lets you easily order Powerball tickets with just a few quick clicks. New customers opt in and get a free lottery ticket. Use code JPHUB.
It is a sink or swim year for this Patriots rookie class. For a team that's had trouble drafting the last few years, that shouldn't be breaking that news to anybody, this draft class has to hit. I count 6 players who are either starters or in like heavy rotational roles if they're not starting. And then 2 more that are right on the verge of that. So Will Campbell, I shouldn't need to explain that one. He's your starting left tackle. Travion Henderson, if he's not your starting running back, he's going to be playing third downs, 2-minute drill. Like, he's going to be on the field in key situations. He might be your biggest big play threat on offense. Jared Wilson looks like he's going to be your starting left guard. Craig Woodson, probably your starting strong safety after cutting Jabril Peppers. If he's not starting, he's going to be playing a lot. Definitely over 50% of the defensive snaps. And then you have Andy Borgalis as your starting kicker. Julian Ashby is your starting long snapper. On top of that, Kyle Williams. It's tough to gauge exactly where he is on the depth chart because he missed the last. Go back to Minnesota, right? He got hurt in that game, the Josh Dobbs hospital ball. I feel like they're probably going to start their base 11 will be either Booty, Diggs, and Pop or Mac Hollins, Diggs, and Pop. But Kyle Williams, I mean, third-round pick. He's going to work into the rotation as the year goes on. They need his speed. They need his ability after the catch. He's going to play a significant number of snaps for this team. It just might not start week 1. And then Marcus Bryant ideally won't play because he's your backup tackle, but he's your top backup tackle. He's definitely the top backup on the right side. And he might be the top backup on the left side. They still have Vidarian Lowe, but given the way this coaching staff has treated players who were brought here not under their watch,
Yeah, not a fan of Vidarian Lowe.
I would not be surprised if Marcus Bryant maybe has a shorter leash at left tackle, but I would not be surprised if he ends up the top backup left tackle if something happens to Will Campbell. So that's not a lot of depth beyond Campbell. Travion Henderson, like I said, one of few big play threats. I don't know what they're doing at left guard if Jared Wilson's not in there. Probably Ben Brown, but now what do you do at center if Garrett Bradbury doesn't work out? They don't have a ton of depth at safety after Craig Woodson. They don't seem to believe in Kyle Duggar. Del Pettis is a drop-off. And then obviously kicker and long snapper, like those are your guys. Mm-hmm. It's not just that all of these guys are going to be in significant roles. There's not much of a plan B behind them. So they need this draft class to hit, and they need it to hit right away. This is not Bill Belichick. We're going to ease the rookies in. We're going to have veterans in front of them. We'll kind of put more on their plate as the season goes on. No. Will Campbell, Travion Henderson, Jared Wilson, Craig Woodson, Andy Borgalis, Julian Ashby, and then Kyle Williams and Marcus Bryant. These guys are going to have to show up and play meaningful snaps from the jump.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on it when you said plan B, Barth. That's not just that these guys are plan A in a lot of situations. If they falter, what's plan B? I'm not sure they even know what plan B is.
For a lot of those guys, there really is not one.
Right. Look, Campbell, I feel good about Campbell being like a decent, serviceable starting left tackle. And I know maybe that's not good enough for you for the number 4 overall pick. I get it.
If he's Nate Solder, great. That's a starting caliber, set it and forget it left tackle. People ask me what's a good season for Will Campbell. I say we don't bring his name up. Like we will because we dig in deeper. A great season for Will Campbell. They don't utter his name once, 2 to 6. Right,
like the average person, like it doesn't really come out again talking much about Campbell.
We're just not noticing.
Exactly, but he goes without saying because he plays one of the most important positions on the team. It's been a big need for them for years.
And he's the 4th overall pick. Like that guy's expected to hit and start right away no matter what.
And I get it. Yeah, no, I get it. If your expectations are super high for him as the number 4 overall pick, I get it.
Yeah.
But if he could just be a serviceable, decent left tackle, that's a huge upgrade over what they had last year. And
massive.
If Drake May is as good as we want him to be, he should be able to, work with that. And he should be able to make up for him just being okay. And so I think that right there would be, a big upgrade from what they had last year. You said in the pre-show rundown, like, who's the most crucial rookie besides Will Campbell?
Yes.
So that's where I was sort of going.
That's what I was about to ask you.
Okay, good.
Good synergy.
So I jumped you there. I'm going Jared Wilson there because he's playing left guard, and I know that's not the most important position on the field, but he's going to be starting. He's probably going to be playing every snap. That's the plan. He can't. He's not ready. He can't figure it out. Like there's a chance that he's not ready because I don't think this was the plan for him coming into the year that he was going to be the starting left guard. I think they wanted to eventually develop him as the center. They came into camp with Cole Strange at left guard. He's obviously gone now. He's a bust. Garrett Bradbury at center had a terrible camp, but they're staying the course with him
for now.
And like that there's also the domino effect there. If Garrett Bradbury can't play, and if they decide that Jared Wilson is ready to play center, who do they put at left guard? Like maybe it's Caden Wallace, but that's a guy that came in here as a tackle last year, and they had to convert to left guard. And so, it's the domino effect. The plan B thing is a huge concern, especially on that offensive line. But the reason I go Jared Wilson over a guy like Kyle Williams or Travion Henderson is that I feel like they have enough at those other positions where they're not coming into the season saying, we have to get a lot out of Kyle Williams, especially at receiver.
Right.
With the experience they have there, they brought in Stephon Diggs. Mac Hollins looks like he has a rapport with Drake May. Keyshawn Boutte has a rapport with Drake May. Pop Douglas is a slot receiver, so it's like I don't think they're looking like it would be different if they didn't bring in Stephon Diggs. I might be looking at Kyle Williams saying like they need him to hit the ground running.
Absolutely.
And at running back, like Travion Henderson had a great summer and looks like he could be a legit weapon for them. But they do still have Ramondre Stevenson, who I think is a good running back, and if he could just hold
Gibson,
and Gibson was good, was one of the few bright spots for the team last year. Gibson, and I think if Stevenson could just hold on to the ball, he's a good running back, and so I feel like I look at those guys and they don't absolutely have to get the most out of those guys as rookies because they have bodies there, they have depth there. Don't exactly have that on the offensive line, so there's a lot riding on Campbell and Wilson in particular.
So Jared Wilson's up there for me, most important rookie. I'm also going to say Craig Woodson for a lot of the same reasons you just said.
Yep.
They didn't necessarily have a starting left guard before Jared Wilson. Don't get me wrong, he had a good summer, but didn't he also kind of maybe end up in that position by default? Because nobody else claimed it, and he's been good, but you had Jabril Peppers. Yeah, I mean, they still have Kyle Duggar, but they're clearly cutting his role back. They are, Craig Woodson got elevated late in this process. I think they need, and he's going to be in kind of that crucial role on the defense, kind of in that cleanup role. I think he's important. One more that I think is really important that succeeds. This is maybe more narrative driven than anything else. No, this is important because they lost a lot of close games last year, but also you can't draft 2 kickers in 3 years. I don't want to say they're both busts because Chad Ryland's good in Arizona now, but you as a team can't miss on 2 kickers in 3 years, even if it was different people drafting them. Andy Borregales needs to be this team's kicker for years to come. He does. And I think he can be. I know he didn't have the best camp, but seeing him at Miami, he's got a big leg. I think he's a super confident kid. I'm excited to watch him. There's some pressure on him. You can't blow another kicker pick. You can't do it.
No, there's a lot of pressure on him because of that, for everything you just said. But, in the draft, I know he was considered one of, if not the best prospect at the kicker position, but he wasn't a blue chip can't miss.
No, this wasn't.
Guy.
So the year they took Chad Ryland, I think they took Chad Ryland higher than they wanted to because Jake Moody, who was considered this blue chip rare kicking prospect, the Niners took him in the top 100. And by the way, he's kind of been bad, but the Niners took him in the top 100. And the way it works with kickers is once the run starts, it starts. So you take Chad Ryland. We don't need to go back and revisit that pick, but Andy Borregales, and for a team that's going to play a lot of close games, I am going to make this X's and O's and not just narrative driven. You need your kicker in close games, and you can extend that to the long snapper and Julian Ashby. You need your kicker in close games. This team is going to have to win close games this year to get to that 9-10 win mark that some people have them at. So they're going to need Andy Borregales. And by the way, Parker Romo not on the practice squad. Mike Vrabel thanked him for everything, wished him well. It doesn't sound like he's coming back. So it's Andy Borregales' job.
Yeah, look, so there's obviously a lot of pressure on him just for throwing him right in there as a rookie. Ashby's another one, but what can we even say about the long snapper? Either snap the ball or don't. But again, to your point, it's sort of along the same lines as Campbell being a long snapper, 7th round pick. It's you just don't want to ever talk about the long snapper, right? You just hope you never have to worry about that. And I know that they could probably find another guy off the street to do the job if they have to, but you actually invested a draft pick in this guy in addition to Borregales. So those are 2 guys that do have to hit the ground running. You got to have a good kicking game because, like you said, these games are going to be close. There's probably going to be games where Drake May gets them into field goal position at the end of the game, to whether to tie it at the end or maybe it's a tie game. He has a chance for a game-winning field goal. So there's going to be pressure on the rookie, and he could be in cold weather too, late in the year. I know he has a little bit of experience playing in cold weather, but not necessarily consistently in
Miami.
New England.
Yeah, it doesn't get. I don't think there's too many snowflakes at Hard Rock Stadium.
No, I'm not saying in Miami, but he's played some cold
in
weather
the
games.
ACC. Yeah, coming up north, he's done that a little bit. We'll see. That's the one you can't practice that. We'll just see it when we see it. So, Patriots rookie class, I think front and center this year. Drake May's story 1, obviously. Is he the guy? Showed promise last year. Can he put it together? Can he continue to build? Story 1A, they're not getting to double-digit wins without the rookie class stepping up across the board. Do they get that? We will see. Matt's going to get you caught up on the headlines. Let's get into Drake May, the quarterback, and the offense. We'll do that next here. It is the Labor Day Patriots preview show. Alex Barth and Matt Dolloff on the Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
It is officially football season, folks. Week 1, Patriots kick things off Sunday at 1 o'clock against the Las Vegas Raiders at Gillette Stadium. Christian Gonzalez absent for practice on Monday as he's still working.
in the summer. We'll see how it goes when the game starts. I'm not saying he's out of the woods yet, but like it's no more than just the average, hey, this quarterback has a new offensive coordinator, how they're going to work together thing. So I feel good about where Drake May's at there. It's really the turnovers for me. That's concern number one for me when it comes to Drake May. He's going to hold on to the football. I've given the number. If he can be under a turnover a game, not an interception, a turnover, including the fumbles, I think if he can get that number down and it doesn't involve handcuffing him to the point where he's, just checking the ball down left and right, Mac Jones, Bo Nix, etc., I actually think he has an opportunity to take a real step forward in 2025.
Yeah, and obviously the turnovers, but just decision-making in general, right? Like,
sure.
Can he decide to throw the ball away and live to see another down, things like that? Can he swallow the ball and take a sack instead of trying to force it like he did when he fumbled in the preseason opener? Like, yes, he needs to avoid the turnovers in general, but can he just make those small little decisions that sort of add up over the course of a game, and it's winning football, right? And so I expect him to play. I want him to play more winning football. I'm not exactly sure what to expect with Drake May going into his second year, again, first year in a whole new offense. But look, the expectation should be that they're going to move the ball and score some points this year.
Yeah.
They were 30th in the league last year, 17 points per game. They bring back Josh McDaniels. They got maybe marginally better, only marginal, but they got better at the tackle spots.
We'll get to the offensive line.
Yeah, they brought in Stephon Diggs. They drafted Travion Henderson and Kyle Williams. They still have Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper, like experienced tight ends. And Thomas Brown is another like experienced, good offensive coach. Don't tell me they're going to be 30th in the league scoring 17 points a game again. Like I know that the offensive line could hold them back, but they have enough where they should be able to at least get in the end zone a couple times a game and, score in the 20s and be competitive in a lot of these games.
Do you know the last time the Patriots scored 4 touchdowns in a game?
Oh, you said it recently. It was like 3 or 4 years ago, right?
October 2022. It was the game Bailey Zappi started in Cleveland. They scored
Tyquan Thornton game.
4+ touchdowns once in 2022. They did it 5 times in 2021. 3 times in 2020. That's it since Brady left. None in the last 2 years. It's been 2.5 years since they had 4+ touchdowns in a game. I don't think that this team is going to do that every game, but they should be like that streak should end this year. I don't know that it ends week 1 against the Raiders, but it should end this year. They do have more offensive firepower. And part of the conversation with Drake May, Matt, and you kind of got to it there, is what's around him. I think last year, and some of it was just he was a rookie and he was learning, and obviously some of it was the coaching staff wasn't very good. But I think the supporting cast was prohibitive at times. You had wide receivers dropping passes. You had offensive linemen blowing assignments. Like, I go back to the game in Buffalo, which he has them in. Like, he's playing well. He has them in the game in Buffalo, not the ridiculous one at the end of the year. And Alex Van Pelt calls an ill-advised bubble screen to the running back. DeMontre Jacobs gets absolutely blown up trying to set a cut block. Ramondre Stevenson can't catch the ball. It wasn't a perfect throw by Drake May, but it ends up as a fumble, and the Bills take it for a touchdown, and that kind of put to bed the chance of the Patriots pulling off the upset. Was Drake May perfect on that play? No. Was he a top 3-4 reason it didn't work? Also, no. It just, everything kind of disintegrated around him. I don't think the group they have this year, at least the starters, I don't think the group that's around him this year will be prohibitive. I don't know how much it's going to elevate him. I expect Steph Diggs to do a little bit of that. I expect Pop Douglas to do a little bit of that. Maybe Travion Henderson. I don't think the offensive line is one that's going to elevate him much. But, again, starting-wise, because I have serious concerns about their depth, starting-wise, I don't think this is a group that is going to be as prohibitive to him as the one last year. So that should help him as well. Hopefully he can get more comfortable. I remember saying this to you, like, his whole game, it looked like there was this internal monologue of, fine, I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
Right? And
he's Nelson Muntz throwing the ball to himself, running down the field and catching it on the
He shouldn't have to feel that way this year, at least with the starters.
No, absolutely not. And but quickly, you mentioned Alex Van Pelt and that crazy play call that led to the turnover touchdown in that game in Buffalo. You're not going to see that with Josh McDaniels. You know, like this goes back to what we were talking
Right.
at the start of the show about competence. Say what you want about Josh McDaniels. He's at least competent. Like, he's not, I think it's too far to say, like, he's nothing without Tom Brady. Like, no, you saw what he did in Mac Jones' rookie year. And I think even 2020, for them to win 7 games and have a few good offensive games with maybe the worst offensive personnel that we've ever seen on the Patriots, quarterbacks included.
Right.
Like, I thought he did an okay job that year, and he did a good job Mac Jones' rookie. Like, he's had some good, solid years in his own right as a coordinator in the post-Brady era. I think that he's going to at least be competent, and I know occasionally he makes play calls that, you know, make you scratch your head. Like, you know, a 3rd and 1 backwards pitch is the one I always point to, is like, why do you do that?
Yeah.
He loves doing stuff like that. And I know, like, occasionally he might give you a headache, but he's at least a good, solid, competent offensive coordinator, and you're not going to have a lot of games this year where, like, Josh McDaniels really killed him this year. But back to the personnel.
Sure.
I think you're right. I think they've improved enough around Drake May where Drake May can't come out there and have a terrible year and go like 1-9 or whatever. Like, have another bad year and not win a lot of games. He has enough around him where we can't come out of the year saying, well, what did you want him to do? He doesn't have enough around him.
Exactly.
Like, he has enough around him to at least, you know, keep the Patriots in these games, win some of these games. And it's going to come down to I think a lot of these games are going to come down to the end, the fourth quarter, last possession. What's he going to do? Is he going to throw the touchdown? Is he going to get him in position for the field goal? Or is he going to throw the bad interception? I think like a lot of that is sort of going to define Drake's season this year. And it could define him as a quarterback throughout his career. And I don't want to speak on his whole career just yet, since he's going into his 2nd season. But this year, they're going to be competitive in a lot of these games. I think they've improved the players around May just enough that he should be able to elevate some of it around him and make enough plays to move the ball and score. And if he has a terrible year, it's on him at this point.
I think that's true to an extent. I do worry about their depth, especially on the offensive line. I think Will Campbell, Jared Wilson, Garrett Bradbury, and we'll see how long Garrett Bradbury sticks, but even if it's Ben Brown at center, I still feel this way about this take. Will Campbell, Jared Wilson, Bradbury or Brown. I'm not going to say any center, but Bradbury or Brown, Mike Onwenu, Morgan Moses. That's a representative offensive line.
Right.
Could be better, you know, top 25 unit in the league. It's going to get ugly at times, but I think that's a group you can work with. But you start losing guys from that group, I mean, that's a Jenga tower. You lose one guy, you're getting nervous. You lose 2 guys, I think you might be back where you were last year. We'll see what Marcus Bryant ultimately is, but that is my biggest worry with the offense is their starting group's okay. Their starting group's actually okay. But a couple injuries, and they're very much not. And they need guys to be healthy this year. That's you want guys to be healthy every year in the NFL, obviously. But especially this team this year, they really don't have, I think, that level of depth that they can afford to get hit by the injury bug.
But I think the depth, especially if you look at the O-line, Barth, it's on the front office. Like they could have brought
obviously.
They signed another veteran tackle to the practice squad today, like, and they're, you know, making waiver moves for offensive linemen. Like they could have brought in more experienced offensive linemen in the offseason. They got Morgan Moses basically and Garrett Bradbury. That was basically their free agency on the offensive line, and then depending on Will Campbell to start every snap at left tackle, like you're asking a lot of the rookies and you're asking a lot of the young kids to, you know, to play at a high level. But if they get hurt, like it's kind of on the front office that they didn't bring in an option behind those guys. They had plenty of time to do that, and so I think if they have depth issues because of injuries, I think you got to look at the front office and how they handle the offseason.
What are you looking for the most at wide receiver?
Can Pop Douglas be the Josh McDaniels classic slot receiver? Like I think I know what we're gonna get out of Stephon Diggs. Like I don't think he's gonna, you know, have this renaissance season, but I think he's gonna be a good, solid go-to guy for Drake May on the outside, and he's gonna be this sort of close to the same dynamic guy that we've seen him be in his career. So I think I'm not too worried about Stephon Diggs. Pop Douglas is a guy that's like he's flashed. He's made some plays. He made some plays even last year with Drake May. But can he consistently be that, you know, drive starter, engine of the offense type of player? And I know that you don't necessarily want to overwork him because he's undersized and he's been banged up before. But if he can be that classic Patriots slot receiver that they've had for so many years, like that could make a huge difference, especially with Josh McDaniels calling the plays.
So I'm almost going to flip that on you. I said I loved your answer because just the Pop Douglas part, everybody's so focused on Diggs. I love that you went to Pop.
But not why I said it. You don't like why I said it.
I actually think Diggs is going to be the guy in the volume role. I think Diggs, you look at what he was last year in Houston, and you know what? You don't lose as much of his game in that role if he's a step slower off the ACL. I want Pop to be, this is a weird comp, but just hang with me for a second.
Oh, boy.
I want Pop to be Chris Hogan. I want Pop to be the guy that you're using his speed to stretch the field horizontally and vertically, and okay, fine. You're going to sit 8 yards off the line of scrimmage and bracket Diggs so we can't just feed him the ball at the sticks. Well, then we're going to run this guy through the zone up the seam, and he's got the speed to beat you. Or you're going to sit on Diggs at the line of scrimmage so he can't get off and we don't have that quick throw. Well, then we're going to throw a screen behind you to Pop Douglas and let him create with his speed. It's like a hybrid of the Hogan and Danny Amendola roles. That's kind of what I want. I don't want them to see. I don't want them to see him throw 120 balls to Pop. Because he gets hurt.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not talking about volume necessarily.
Okay.
I'm talking about the role. Like, it's 3rd and 4. He gets open early.
Havoc guy.
That's just a quick, simple passes to keep drives going.
Okay, so I like that you said that.
I think he got to at least be that guy.
I like that you said that.
Because I just don't know how realistic it is that he's going to stretch the field and make a bunch of big plays down the field. That's why.
A bunch of big plays, probably not. You're right. To me, his success is not measured in volume. It's measured in impact. So Diggs is the guy again. 100 catches. He's moving the chains. Pop Douglas, what percentage of his catches go for first downs? That's the number that I'm going to look at. I think he's all right, fine. You're going to, because they don't have, you go back to the most successful iteration of the McDaniels offense and just hang with me for a second. It's going to be a weird description. Teams are going to sit on Edelman, they threw to Gronk. Teams are going to sit on Gronk, they threw to Edelman. Obviously, you don't have two. You don't even know if you have one. I'd like to think Diggs can be sort of what Edelman was in that offense. You obviously don't have a Rob Gronkowski. But who is going to be the guy that at least makes you think twice about sitting down on Stephon Diggs? That's what I want Pop to be. How many times have I said, Matt, they need that coverage dictating wide receiver, the guy who is going to force the defense, he's going to create gravity and force the defense to come to him and pay attention to him. Ideally, Diggs is that guy. Well, the beauty of having that guy isn't just that he's good and he can create. You now have one-on-one matchups for all your other pass catchers, and their lives are a lot easier. Pop Douglas is a one-on-one menace. We see it in training camp every year. To your point, is he capitalizing on those one-on-ones, whether it's quick off the line, whether it's running the seam, whatever it is, I think he's going to be in a position to succeed. He has flashed. It hasn't always been consistent. It's set up really well this year in my mind for it to be consistent if he can take advantage of the opportunity.
Quickly to your point,
yeah.
What did Chris Hogan do a lot? What did they do with Chris Hogan a lot when he was here? Schemed him open.
So
Josh McDaniels would call plays and scheme him open. Brady throws him open. Like that's where Drake May might have to come in and sort of elevate a guy like Pop Douglas if he's getting open early in the route and throw it to where only Pop can get it. Like, I think that's going to be a big part of the offense, too.
And if I'm allowed to dream here and think about this thing going well, and this is something McDaniels didn't necessarily have at his disposal with Brady or Mac Jones, you play zone against a running quarterback. Like, teams are incentivized to play zone against a running quarterback because when you're in man, your eyes are turned, and now if he scrambles, you're not going to see it, and it's harder to react, right? So if they can establish Drake May as a runner a little bit, and now you're in zone, Chris Hogan destroyed zone. That's what they did against the Steelers. Like, that's what Pop, like the chess piece, right? Josh McDaniels, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Josh McDaniels is a game plan coordinator. It's different week to week depending on what the opponent does. You identify the weakness. That's what Pop Douglas is doing. I think that's his role. And then you have Stephon Diggs sitting down at the sticks to move the chains when you need him to move the chains. And you're probably throwing to Diggs more often because it's the simpler read. But when you hit Pop, that's where the big plays are going to come from in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of this does go back to Drake May because a lot of things you're saying, as far as you're covering Gronk, we're going to throw to Edelman. You're covering Edelman, that's Brady and Belichick. That was their brilliance, where we're going to take what you're giving us, and so that's going to be another thing that's sort of on Drake May. We're like, don't try to force it to Diggs if he's being double, triple covered. Take the open.
Right,
guy.
identify.
And so that's going to be a thing to watch for with him.
All comes back to Drake May in that regard. Anything else you're looking for offensively? We didn't talk a ton here about the running backs and the tight ends. I still think Stevenson's going to be their bigger volume back. I still think, early downs, body blow guy. Travion Henderson is going to be third downs, 2-minute drill, high red zone. He'll be a matchup player as well. I do think we're going to see a good amount of pony this year, which is sets with 2 running backs. I think you'll see a good amount of Stevenson and Henderson maybe on the field at the same time. A good amount compared to what you normally see, which is barely any of that. Not a ton of teams run pony anymore. But I think he's going to be, even if his snap percentage isn't high, like I think he's probably 40-ish% usage rate guy. I think he's probably high 30s, low 40s. Stevenson's low to mid 40s. Then Antonio Gibson fills in the rest. He's going to make a lot of the snaps where he's on the field. So that's my expectation for the running backs.
I think they're going to be able to run the ball in general, and I think that's something that
so too.
Nobody's really talking about it. And I get it. Like the main event is Drake May and the passing game and Stephon Diggs and all that. They haven't been able to run the ball in a couple years, so that could make a huge difference for them if they could establish the run a little more. And Will Campbell that's probably where he's most NFL ready, is in run blocking. Jared Wilson, athletic guy. Garrett Bradbury's always been a better run blocker than pass blocker. So I think offensive line, I think that's the area where they're actually they maybe surprise people because it hasn't really been talked about, is I think they're going to be able to create lanes in the running game, and the running backs are all going to be able to make plays.
Any thoughts on the tight ends?
We haven't seen any of Hunter Henry. That's another thing that people are sort of sleeping
Hunter
on.
Henry.
He's a captain. Good for him to stick around, be one of the holdovers to get captaincy. But he didn't play at all in the preseason. So I feel like he's sort of being slept on as that, seam pass, third down, red zone option. That for all the concerns about Drake May in the passing game that we saw in the preseason, he didn't have one of his key safety valves out there. And so I expect Henry to have a solid year as long as he's out there and healthy and all that. And so that could be another way that they surprise people on offense, is by just Drake May and Hunter Henry connecting on certain plays.
All right, there's some thoughts on the offense. How about the defense? Let's do that next. It's Alex Barth and Matt Dolloff on the annual Labor Day Patriots preview on the Sports Hub.
This is Patriots Preview 2025.
Country Ski and Sport in Hanson, Quincy, and Westwood has served the Boston area ski community for over 50 years. Discover Country Ski's seasonal junior lease program, where every child that leases with Country Ski receives a free season's pass to Saddleback Mountain. Book your lease appointment today at countryski.com.
It's game on, folks. Week 1 starts now, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. This isn't just football. It's first touchdown fireworks, anytime TD rushes, and live bets that ride every momentum shift. At DraftKings, every play is your next shot to win. Now, new customers, listen up. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SportsHub. That's code SportsHub to get $300 in bonus bets instantly when you bet $5. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Hope is here. 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Massachusetts only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
Hey, Big Jim here with Mike Albert's son, Logan, from Premier Basement Waterproofing. If you find water, don't you dare call anyone else.
No way, Big Jim. We're the only direct vendor of ion pumps and high-octane drainage systems in New England. I'll come give you a quote. So call 844-LIVE-DRY or visit premierbasement.net. It's game over for water.
This is Secret Clinical dominating extra stinky stress sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave. Oh, what a beautiful day. This is regular deodorant. Ugh, I can't. Secret Clinical with workout sweat. Let's run another marathon. And regular deodorant. How much more? Secret is the GOAT. Because nothing fights sweat better. Stay fresher under pressure.
Wow, it's so good to finally be back home.
Is it me, or is it musty?
Oh, damp. Check the bathroom.
Damp!
The basement?
Damp! Wait!
Yeah?
I'm ordering damp bread!
So we don't have to move?
A Eliminate damp, musty smells by trapping excess moisture. Get rid of the damned with Damp Rid.
Hey, listen to this. All it needed was a new starter. Got a great deal on eBay. Did it myself.
Yeah, that's cool. But how about the soft purr of an upgraded exhaust when it fits just right?
For me, it's the little things. Like these new windshield wipers from eBay I installed.
From small fixes to big upgrades, eBay has all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
This hour of the Sports Hub brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety.
Hey, it's Maz with a message from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Therapy can bring out a whole new you, and BetterHelp makes it easy to match with a licensed therapist. Get 10% off your first month of online therapy at BetterHelp, HELP.com/Maz.
Hi, Boston. This is Cam Neely. Don't miss the 29th annual Comics Come Home coming to TD Garden on November 8th. Get your tickets now to see Dennis Leary, Sebastian Maniscalco, Conan O'Brien, Sarah Silverman, Robert Kelly, and more, all to benefit the Cam Neely Foundation for Cancer Care. Tickets are available now at Ticketmaster.com.
From the Top Tier Tire Studios, WBZ FM and HD1. It's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub headline, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
It is officially week 1 of the 2025 NFL.
Is the offense, but there are some spots you worry. Let's just start here. Big picture defensive philosophy. This is where they really hammered things in free agency, right? They bring in Milton Williams. They bring in Robert Spillane. They bring in Carlton Davis. They're going to get Christian Barmore back from last year after he dealt with that medical condition. How are you feeling about just the defensive unit overall going into the season?
Oh, I still feel really good about it going into the season. I think they added enough up front where, like I was saying before, I think they are going to be able to get into the backfield and get after quarterbacks, and they're going up against, I know, some good quarterbacks this year, but when they go up against the lesser talented quarterbacks, they should be able to rush them into bad decisions and bad throws, and they should have enough coverage down the field that, maybe they get some coverage sacks. Maybe that's how they get turnovers, to rush the quarterback into a bad throw and it gets picked off. Like, they're going to make plays. They're going to create negative plays. They're going to create turnovers. I think that's going to be the difference between this defense and not even just last year, but the bend but don't break sort of defenses that we've been used to seeing for the last 2 decades. I know last year was sort of a continuation of the Belichick style. Certainly. And so this is going to be very different. But like I was saying before, Barthy, there are trade-offs. And so the trade-off is, I don't know if they're going to be able to stop the run. I think there's going to be plays where they sort of vacate the edge or vacate a lane, and a good, smart team can take advantage of it. A talented player can take the ball and turn a small play into a big one because of that lack of discipline. I wonder what the tackling is going to be like on this team. I know Robert Spillane is a good tackler, and there's going to be a lot riding on him being able to sort of clean things up at the second level there. But I think they're definitely going to be able to hang their hat on getting after the quarterback and, rushing the quarterback into plays, getting them off platform. And I know they're going up against guys like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow who can create plays off platform or make something happen after the play's broken down. But I think a lot of the time I think you're better off rushing them into a play like that and getting them off platform to begin with rather than what we sat through last year. So I think that's where they're going to show a lot of improvement.
I agree with a lot of that, but the one thing you hit on, the big thing, is the run defense for me. So I think this team's going to be tough to throw on. We'll see how the safeties ultimately work out. I came up with this take when they still had Jabril Peppers, but I'll stand by it. Let's say Craig Woodson, Jalen Hawkins work out, right? Look, they got, and Christian Gonzalez going to be healthy at some point. Maybe he doesn't play week 1, but he's going to be healthy, right? Christian Gonzalez, Carlton Davis are 2. I mean, Gonzalez is top 3 corner in the league. Carlton Davis is top 15. You got Marcus Jones is proven to be a capable slot corner. Alex Austin is a matchup player. The pass rush, they don't have that apex pass rusher, but there's a collective group there that should be able to give you some push up front. I think it's going to be better than not between Harold Landry, Milton Williams, Christian Barmore. If Caleb Von Chason can continue to be the guy he's been in camp, they're going to be tough to throw on. The problem is, if you can do it the Jacksonville Jaguars, do you remember what they did to them last year in London?
Oh, ran it down
17 runs in a row.
This is a soft football team.
Right. Was that game? I think that was that game. And he wasn't wrong, by the way. He should have done something about it, but Mayo wasn't wrong when he said that. 17 run plays in a row, just drained the clock, shortened the game, came away with the win. I am a little worried about the run defense. They got more athletic and more explosive on defense, but that meant they got smaller. And so where's the compensation going to come from? A key player in this to me is Milton Williams. Milton Williams was not a run player in Philly. He played 48% of the snaps last year for the Eagles. That was a career high. Never played more than 50% of the snaps in a season. He was a rotational pass rusher. When you get the record-setting contract, you're not a rotational rusher anymore. You got to be a 3-down player. Can Milton Williams stop the run? I don't know. There's just not a lot of tape one way or the other as to whether he can do it. They're going to need him to stop the run. Kyrus Tonga, who's been your guy, is another really important player in this regard because he showed a little bit of pass rush pop in camp. And so he goes from, you think, being a guy that, all right, he's only going to play on, 3rd and short, goal line, things like that. You're not going to play him on 3rd and 8. But those tweener downs, 2nd and 5, 3rd and 3, can he give you something there? Joshua Farmer, maybe, he's a little bit of a run player. He's kind of buried on the depth chart as a rookie. But if they're struggling to stop the run, they need to give him a shot because what the run defense needs to be, it just needs to be a deterrent. They don't need to be the best run defense in the league, but they need to be a deterrent to the point where you can't run the ball 17 times in a row right down their throat like the Jaguars did to them last year. That's what I'm looking for. In Milton Williams, if Milton Williams can be half the run player, he is the pass rusher, and I don't worry about Milton Williams as a pass rusher. He's going to be able to do that. If he can play the run, they're going to be in good shape. If not, well, now do you have to take him off the field at times? And what does that mean for, the rotation of the defensive line and things like that? Then I get a little more worried. Run defense is the big question, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I know it's not as exciting to talk about, but if you can't stop the run, you're kind of cooked as a defense. We saw it in that Jacksonville game against London. If they could just run even sometimes the same play over and over and just pick up 10 yards a pop on you and just keep getting first down after first down without even having to put the ball in the air, like, you're screwed. And so that is what we have to look at with this defense. Number one is, like, I know that, lack of discipline is maybe a general sort of nebulous thing, but if they get if Milton Williams in particular can get turned aside in the run game and just clear that gap, and Robert Spillane isn't good enough to sort of make up for that, and they're getting sliced up, at 7-8 yards a pop, like they did in that London game. Like, they're not even going to have a chance to get after the quarterback. The whole idea is to stop the run and set up 3rd and long.
Right.
And it goes back to the offense maybe giving them a lead, but just defensively, like, you got to stop those early downs. You got to get the quarterback into a situation where he has to throw, and then the pass rushers can sort of pin their ears back, find their gap, and attack. But they're never going to be in that position if they can't stop the run. And so, yeah, Milton Williams is going to be key to that, but I think Kairos Tonga was a big, a key pickup in that area. But I think their recent moves sort of indicate how they might feel about the run defense up front. They claimed a rookie defensive tackle, Eric Gregory, off waivers. And I think it was Doug Kye to the Boston Herald posted some of the responses to when he reported it. And there's a lot of angry Bengals fans. There were Bengals fans that were mad that he got away. And I don't know that Eric Gregory is going to make an immediate impact here, but we were saying all summer, like, they could use a space eater just to help them, clog up the running lanes there. And so maybe Gregory can help them there, but that just speaks to the lack of investment in that sort of player this offseason. I think they put a priority on the pass rushers, and rightfully so, because this is a passing league. Like, a team's not going to necessarily they're not going to lose a lot of games just because of the other team running the ball. Like, you're going to have to throw the ball at some point, and the Patriots are going to be hard to throw on. But if we get games like they did in Jacksonville, like, they're going to be cooked in those games because you can't have it. You can't be gashed up the middle like that over and over again and expect to win football games. So that's going to be probably the number one thing for the defense to watch.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Oh, boy, I hate it when you do this to me, Barthy.
Who do you think leads them in sacks this year? Are you buying the Caleb on Chase on hype from the summer? Do you think Harold Landry turns the clock back a little bit? Williams, Barmore, usually those interior guys are more disruptors, and they're not the ones actually getting the sacks. They're flushing the quarterback out, and somebody on the edge cleans up. Like, we haven't really brought up Keon White yet, and it sounds like he might have a slightly lesser role, but we know he can get after the quarterback. I think this is going to be kind of a by committee thing. I don't know that they may not have a double-digit sack guy, but they may have, 4 or 5 guys that end up with 7 or 8 each.
Yeah.
I'm really fascinated to see what Caleb on Chason does, because this is a guy that has first-round talent. He's only 26 years old. He hasn't panned out. He had a career-high 5 sacks last year. It's a coaching staff that's done a lot with those guys up front. If I had to put money on it, I would actually go Barmore or Williams. I think one of those interior guys ends up just getting the sacks. But if Chason looks like he did in camp, he has a chance to be a double-digit sack guy. Who do you, now that I've stalled a little bit for you, and I did put you on the spot, so it is admittedly on me, who do you think leads them in sacks this year?
I tend to agree with you that if I had to bet on it, I'd say Christian Barmore, just because I think he still has the highest ceiling of anybody on that defense. He's like, if we saw him in I think it was second half of 2023 where he went on an epic run there. If you can put that together for a full season, he could become a double-digit sack guy, even as a guy who has to, defend the run more and be more responsible with that stuff. But I still give him the best chance. After that, probably Chason, and I know Chason hasn't panned out, but could Chason at least be? Remember that one good year Josh Uche had here, where he came out of nowhere and got double-digit sacks?
That was second half thing. I think he had like 10 sacks in the last 8 games or something like that.
But could Chase on maybe put together a full season like that where he's not necessarily this 3-down force and he's setting the edge and he's making plays every time?
Little Mark Anderson kind of season?
Can he come up with a sack here and there and it adds up to about, like 9-10 sacks? Like I could see something like that happening. And to a point you were making earlier, Barthy, I get it that they don't have that one singular elite high-end pass rusher. I just think that's a little overrated because I think you do still need the unit, right? Like I go back to those Giants teams that beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
NASCAR defense.
Yes, they had Michael Strahan, Hall of Fame defensive end, but they also had a great line across the board. O.C. Umenyiora, Justin Tuck, like everyone who watched those games knows all those guys because they were all good. And so if Christian Barmore could maybe elevate to that sort of game record, consistent every week, that he's going to be a monster type of player, like that would make a huge difference. And then you got Milton Williams, Keon White, Caleb Monchason, Harold Landry as sort of the guys that complement him, and like they sort of all work around each other with Barmore sort of at the center of it. Then I think they should be one of the better pass rushing teams in the league. I don't think there's any excuse for that.
In the secondary, Gonzalez was an All-Pro last year. I mean, and again, he's got to get healthy, but it feels like he has the opportunity to put himself in the conversation for the best cornerback in the league this year. How important is it for him? I guess let me phrase it this way. I asked Dendero this earlier. Would you rather, what would be more costly? He misses 2 games to start the season, or they rush him back, he's out there Sunday, he pulls something, and now he's out for like a month?
Oh, the second thing. You want to maximize availability.
So you're okay with them taking it a little slow with him?
Oh, I'm absolutely okay with taking it slow.
I
think I'm okay with making sure that he is absolutely as close to 100% as possible. I know maybe people might have questions about like what is he doing everything he can get back on the field? Is he being patient with himself? But I don't know. I'm not sure how much he's sort of upsetting the apple cart, defying the team right now. I think they're sort of managing him. I think Albert Breer said on TV that like he's going to go week 1. That's the plan. They're just managing him right now. But I don't know. I thought he'd be out there today. And I know you said earlier that like Wednesday is the cutoff. If he's not practicing Wednesday, that's a bad sign for his availability. But I just look at it. This is sort of luck with the schedule. They should be able to be competitive and maybe win this game against the Raiders without Christian Gonzalez. And I know that sounds kind of crazy at all-pro caliber corner.
I don't.
That just the matchup. Like, do they really need Christian Gonzalez in coverage against that team, like those receivers? Jacoby Myers, does he really scare you that much?
And you have Carlton Davis, you have Alex Austin, like they have some depth there. I'm with you. Like, I don't want to say they don't need Christian Gonzalez. It's a much easier game with him, but matchup wise, of all the games for him to miss, that's potentially less costly than some others.
Missing 2 weeks would be tough, though. I would love to see him get back for week 2 against those receivers in Miami.
Absolutely.
Like, that should, if he's not ready to go this week, you should try to target next week for him to be back.
Now that we're going game by game a little bit, so we did this exercise when the schedule came out, but we've obviously got a lot more information since. Win-loss, we'll take a look at the Patriots schedule next on the Sports Hub annual Labor Day Patriots preview show.
This is Patriots Preview 2025.
Gambling can be addictive, just like alcohol and other drugs. And like with other addictions, help for yourself or a loved one.
You got to start the Mike Vrabel era off with a win. It's a team West Coast to East Coast. They were completely overhauled in the offseason like you were. You've got a number of their former players and coaches on your sideline. Yes, they have your former head coach on the other side as well, but that was, 30 years ago now? That's like a sneaky must-win for them right off the jump, but I think they will win that. Week 2 at Miami.
Give them a loss there.
I'm with you. I think the Miami Dolphins might be putrid this year. I don't think the full internal implosion is going to start quite that quickly. And the Patriots going to South Beach, that's always a tough one. Close loss, but loss. Week 3 home against the Steelers.
Giving them a loss on that one, Barth.
You're giving them a loss on that one. I am too. A kind of similar thing. I think it's too early for things to start falling apart for Aaron Rodgers. Week 4 at home against the Panthers.
Win.
That's a sneaky tough game. I actually think it's a little bit of a trap game. Bryce Young came on strong in the second half of last year. I think that might be sustainable. They went out, they got him some pieces in the offseason. The Panthers, to me, are in a similar spot to where the Patriots are. Young quarterback, has been up and down. You've put him in a bit better of a position now. You're trying to see if you can pull that potential out of him. That is a real, bellwether game to me for the Patriots. We're going to really get a good idea of if the Patriots are on the right track by what they look like against the Panthers in Week 4. So we both have them 2-2 after a month, which is okay.
I could say, just quickly, I think the Panthers game could be one of those surprisingly entertaining, competitive.
I think that could be a really fun game. I'm with you. Week 5 at the Bills, Monday Night Football.
Loss.
2-3. All right. This is where now they have to clean up. If they're really going to make a playoff push, the month of October is where it has to happen. And most of these games are on the road. I don't care. No excuses. These teams are terrible. Week 6 at the Saints.
That's a win.
That's a win. The Saints might be vying for the first overall pick. Week 7 at the Titans.
Oh, that's a win. That's Mike Vrabel's revenge game. That's a win.
I am a little bit of a believer in Cam Ward. I will say, I think Cam Ward's going to be good, but Mike Vrabel's not losing going back to Tennessee. Let's not remember how he kind of got outed there. He's not losing going back to Tennessee. That's a win.
That's a good thing, though, that you brought up. How did they look against the rookie quarterbacks? They used to always be a hallmark of Bill Belichick is to flummox these rookie quarterbacks. How do they look against a guy like Cam Ward?
And then they wrap up October. Again, another team that I think could be in the mix for the first overall pick, Cleveland Browns.
That's a win.
They need to win 3 in a row there. And they haven't won 3 in a row in years. I think they've won back-to-back games in 2 years.
Was it 2021 the last time they won 3 games in a row?
Well, it wouldn't have been the last 2 years because they only won 4 games.
2022, they might have, the Zappy Fever, they might have had a 3-game win streak in there somewhere.
They did with the bye. So they won 2 games, had the bye, won another game. 2 of those games were against the Jets. So there's enough asterisks on that one.
Yeah, fake 3-game win streak.
Their last real 3-game win streak was when they won 4, 5, 6, 7 in a row in the 2021 season, heading into the bye.
Right, that was their last real legit win streak.
Yeah. But they should be able to do it. All 3 of those teams are terrible.
Got to win 3 straight there.
Into November, week 9, at home against the Falcons.
Now, this to me is closer to the trap game that you were talking about. I'm not saying the Falcons are a bad team necessarily, but Michael Penix, kind of an unknown going into his first year, but I'm a believer in Michael Penix.
Yep.
And so I'm giving him a loss there. This is going to be a theme that might have to talk about it at the end of this exercise, but I'm finding it hard to give them games that they should lose or games that they should win that they lose. I feel like the schedule is so easy. They got to lose some games that on paper they should win. I feel like the Falcons game could be one of those games.
So you think they should win? You think this is a potential should-win game?
It's at home against a young quarterback. I'm not much of a believer in that overall team coming into Foxborough and beating the Patriots.
So I think last time we did this exercise, we were 1 game off. I believe this was the game. Yeah. I actually feel stronger about this now that this is not a should-win game for the Patriots. You look at what everybody who was around Michael Penix at Washington is doing. Kalen DeBoer has sunk Alabama with offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb, who was the OC there, who just got fired in Seattle. How's Jalen Polk doing? How's Rome Odunze doing? It's not great. Jalen McMillan's been fine. Michael Penix carried that team. There is now more evidence than ever. I think he's a stud. I think he's a dude. You give him Drake London. I'm still not ready to quit Kyle Pitts. Good offensive line. Bijan in the backfield. It's a solid defense. Solid coaching staff. I think the Falcons are like a sleeper team. Not maybe for a Super Bowl. I would not be surprised the Falcons win 10 games this year.
Is it still Raheem Morris, their head coach? Okay, so I could give them a chance to come in and be surprisingly good on defense.
Yeah, it's Raheem Morris. Yeah, no, I think the Falcons, and part of it is they get to play the Saints twice, and who knows what the Panthers will be. I said I'm kind of high on them, but I think the Falcons are better.
Yeah.
I think the Falcons are like a legitimately good. The Falcons are what I want the Patriots to be in like 2 years.
Sure.
Essentially.
So we're on the same page there. We both like Penix, and so we give him a chance to come in.
I know, and I say that. I know people are freaking out. Yes, Drake May was the same draft class as Michael Penix. He's also 3 years younger. So, Week 10 at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Loss.
That's a loss. The Buccaneers are still good. Week 11 at home against the Jets. This is the Blizzard rivalry edition uniform game. Thursday Night Football.
That's a win. They might lose the uniform aesthetics battle, but they'll win.
Not a fan? I didn't hate those. The helmets are nice. The jerseys or whatever. The helmets are nice.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't mind the helmets. I didn't like that shade of blue. I don't like a team having a different shade of whatever color they usually have.
What about the Chargers?
Just change the whole thing in that case.
The thing about the actual X's and O's of this game, the short week is where it really started to fall apart last year. And the short week is always a challenge for a new coaching staff. That's a win, and they're at home, which helps. They were on the road last year, but something to keep in the back of your mind. Just throwing that out there. Week 12 at the Bengals.
That's a loss.
Yeah, the Bengals should be rolling by that point.
Late season, Bengals, they should be much better than they were in Week 1 last year. That's another game that I could see being surprisingly competitive, but you just lose out in the end to Burrow and Chase. Like May and Diggs just can't quite keep up with Burrow and Chase. I could see them winning like a 31-28 type game. The Bengals that week.
Week 13 at home against the Giants on Monday Night Football.
Give them a win there.
I'll give them a win there as well. So that is 2-2, 2-3, 3-4, 5-3, 5-4, 5-5, 6-5, 7. That's 7-6 going into the bye. Great radio there. I know. I'm sorry.
The Giants could be another trap game though, because what if Russell Wilson has one more good year in him? What if Jameis Winston?
I think it should be Jackson Dart by that point.
Can Jameis Winston come in and have a surprisingly good game? Is Jackson Dart? Does he maybe emerge down the stretch of the year? Like maybe the Giants are playing better than we think, but because it's late in the year and they've had time to develop.
So by the way, that's 7-6. We're now at the bye. 7-6 going into December. You're in the hunt. That's a playoff team. That's a team that's like they're playing real football in December. That Giants game, I know you just called it a little trappy, and I'm not necessarily saying you're wrong. That's a very important game because basically, we'll get to because of what happens next. And because if you're going to be in the playoff hunt, that's a game you are going to need because you come out of the bye week 15 against the Bills at home.
Yeah, that's a loss.
That's a loss. I'm with you. I mean, I think they maybe have a shot in that one, but I'll give them a loss there. Week 16 at the Ravens.
That's a loss.
That's a loss. So that gets real tough there. So you went from 7-6 to 7-8. And now you got to win out to go over 500.
I'll give them this. That could be a trap game for the Ravens. If the Patriots are putting together...
What's the rest of the Ravens schedule?
If the Patriots are putting together a surprisingly good year, if Drake May is having a good year, and the Ravens are riding high, they're close to clinching the division... Here comes the Patriots. Maybe the Patriots wouldn't be a bad team, but I guess you got to be a bad team to be a trap.
For what it's worth, the Ravens, starting on Thanksgiving, they play on Thanksgiving, play the Cincinnati Bengals that night at home.
Ooh, that's going to be fun.
Steelers at home. Bengals again on the road. They close with 3 or 4 on the road. Then that Patriots home game, which is the one home game in that stretch, and then they close at Green Bay at Pittsburgh.
So that's going to be like, you look at the Ravens side of it, that's going to be like, you got to take care of business.
You got to take care of business. You got a tough stretch to end the season. This is one in the middle there that you absolutely should win. You got to grab it. I still think it's a loss. Let's wrap it up. At the Jets, week 17.
Win.
Miami here, week 18.
Win.
That's 9-8 for both of us.
Like we're looking at the funeral for Mike McDaniel.
Mike McDaniel should be long gone by that point.
You think he's gone mid-season?
I think he's going to be the first coach fired, frankly.
He very well could be.
I think he should be. So, 9-8, there you go. But again, those late Jets on Thursday Night Football, Giants on Monday Night Football, like you got to have those. Those are in some sense toss-up games. That 3-game stretch, Saints, Titans, Browns, there's not a lot of room for error in there because when you get late, you're not going to have a chance. All right, well, we were slippery. We were a little shaky early in the season. We were getting our legs under us. But now that it's late in the year, we're ready to go. boom, you're going to run into the wall that is the Bills and more so the Ravens. And they got to clean up on that easier stretch early in their schedule. I think that's tremendously important. So I've come down a win. You've come down 2 wins since camp. And this is, again, games they should win. Like, yeah, if they lose 3 starting offensive linemen, they're not going 9-8, obviously. But that's just the exercise there. It was fun going over the Ravens schedule there a little bit. Let's take a look around the NFL. We'll make this a full NFL preview show. We'll do that next. But first, Matt has your headlines on the annual Sports Hub Patriots preview show.
Sports Hub headlines, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
It is officially week 1 of the 2025 NFL season, folks. Patriots kick things off Sunday at 1 o'clock against the Las Vegas Raiders at Gillette Stadium. Christian Gonzalez, though, the only player absent from practice on Monday. He's still working back from a hamstring injury.
Weekly, sometimes twice a week.
When do you want to do that again?
We do the Patriots Up podcast. Well, I think we're going to do the Raiders in the next segment, so I think this will count as our game preview pod. So our next one will probably be Monday reacting to the game. That's crazy. Week from today, first reaction pod.
It's real. It's football season, Barth.
We'll see how much we get into the Raiders. Maybe we squeeze one more in later this week. But before we get there, I do kind of want to do league as a whole, and I'm curious. And you set it up there during the break. You got me very intrigued. What is the biggest non-Patriot storyline you're the most interested in the NFL this year?
It's the other two offensive-minded head coaches that were brought in to turn their teams around offensively. That would be Ben Johnson with the Chicago Bears, Liam Cohen with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I feel like this is loosely Patriots related, but no, it's a good take.
It's Patriots related. It's
Patriots
related.
adjacent.
It's definitely Patriots adjacent because if Ben Johnson comes in and it's pretty much the same deal as in Detroit, he transforms that offense. Caleb Williams playing like an MVP candidate. We are going to look at the Patriots like you couldn't even you couldn't give a real look at one of these guys. And Liam Cohen, I know he had that weird press conference moment
Duval.
there. Yeah, just cringe. But I'm not gonna blame him I'm not gonna judge him just on that. If he can turn Trevor Lawrence into something that he hasn't been, can he at least get Trevor Lawrence back to the level he was at in his second year when the Jaguars got to the playoffs? It felt like he was on the way up. If those guys can turn those teams around and they can really move the ball and score points, I feel like it's going to be fair to wonder the Patriots couldn't at least consider doing something like that. But even with or without the Patriots, say the Patriots, they play really good defense. They're well coached. Drake May's having a good year. All is good and well in New England. I'm still interested in those two guys and how they perform. And is Ben Johnson going to be a great head coach in the NFL? I feel like that's a fair question. I think he's obviously an elite offensive coordinator. But can he hack it as a head coach? I think that's fair. And if Caleb Williams emerges, if he emerges as the hits this close to the ceiling that we're expecting of him as that first overall pick a year ago, the Bears being good again would make a huge difference for the league. I think it would be great for the league. And the Jaguars are the Jaguars. I know that not necessarily need them to be good for the league or anything like that. But Trevor Lawrence has never really lived up to the hype either. And so I know those are two bottom-dwelling teams based on last year, but it's going to be intriguing to see how those new head coaches do. I'm going to be watching that.
And kind of along those lines, something I'm really interested in is what happens in Detroit. Dan Campbell was kind of the whole take was Dan Campbell really wasn't doing that much. He was propped up by his coordinators. Well, let's see. And even if there will be people who say if they are good again that, the new coordinators are really good. Well, then doesn't Dan Campbell get credit for identifying and developing good coordinators? That's an incredibly valuable skill, as we've learned here in New England the last few years. So I'm fascinated by that. I'm fascinated by the fact that it feels kind of open. The Eagles, I think, are clearly the best team roster-wise, but it's so hard to repeat. Hard to repeat. And are we essentially going to get teams doing it back-to-back times? The Chiefs won 2 in a row, and then this would be the Eagles winning 2 in a row back-to-back like that. I think the Chiefs, they're kind of in that 05, 06 Patriots era where that first group is starting to fall apart a little bit, and they need to rebuild it, and it's getting older. The Ravens.
You mean they're not just going to win the Super Bowl every year?
No.
Tom Brady's not. Mahomes hasn't already passed Brady, you're saying?
The Ravens and Bills are there, but both of those teams have shown an inability to win in the big moment. I don't even know who's up next in the NFC. It might be the Packers. Call me a prisoner of the moment. It feels open. The league has really sucked in terms of parity the last few years.
It's funny, Barth. The more I think about it, I'm kind of having trouble finding anything that's not at least adjacent to the Patriots in the NFL.
Well, that's just because we're good at our jobs and we know how to localize stories.
Exactly. But I was about to bring something up, but then I was like, all right, this is also kind of Patriots adjacent. I still like the Vikings in the NFC North. I'm a believer in J.J. McCarthy. I think he could be a good, solid quarterback, and he's got a great team around him. But that's, again, same draft class as Drake May, so it's a little Patriots adjacent.
All right, let's do this real quick, though. So let's rapid fire here because I want to save time to talk about the Raiders. AFC East division winner.
Bills.
I still think it's the Bills. Should the Patriots finish in second?
Yes.
I'm with you. AFC North.
Ravens.
Bengals in second. I'm not a big believer in where the Steelers are at. I think the Bengals, they have a bad defense. They should have a bounce-back year, but the Ravens are just a better football team. AFC South.
I'm going Texans on that one. I'm still a big believer in C.J. Stroud. I think he has a bounce-back year. I know that they've had some roster turnover and issues there. But I think C.J. Stroud bounces back after the sophomore slump, and they not saying they're going to be a great team, but I think they could win that division, winning 9 or 10 games.
I think there's a chance that division winner is 9. The Titans might make a run late. I know I said that's a team the Patriots should beat. Some of that is where that is in the season. I think maybe Cam Ward gives them a little boost late in the year, but I'm with you. I think it's the Texans. AFC West.
Chiefs still.
All right, let me. Who comes in second in the AFC West?
All right, now you got me thinking. I'm going to go Chargers for second place.
So here's my hot take. I'll go Chargers second place.
Tell me
too.
why you hate Jim Harbaugh so much.
I just think he's a college coach.
Okay.
I just think he's a college coach, and I know he had success in the NFL with the Niners, but just big picture.
They never won, though.
I know people think that this is like one of the best divisions in football. I would not be surprised if this division only has one playoff team. I think the Broncos are going to take a step back. I don't think what Bo Nix did last year is sustainable. The defense is still good. They should still be over 500. We'll see what happens with the Chargers. The Raiders, it all just seems patchworky to me. I just don't know how well that works out. I think there's a chance they've won playoff
I think
team.
the Broncos are very similar to the Patriots with, young quarterback, going to play good defense, questions about how the coaching staff is going to turn out. They're both sort of the middle of the pack type team there.
NFC East.
Eagles.
Still the Eagles. I think the Commanders come in second. They take a little bit of a step back. I think the Cowboys could be bad.
I think the Commanders take almost a big step back. I think Jaden Daniels is good enough that he could keep them afloat, but they're going to be middle of the pack at best, I think.
You put any stock in the Giants maybe making noise?
See, this is where, I was talking about the quarterbacks before. Yeah. I feel like they could come into Foxborough and have one good game. They could have maybe an up and down type of year with those quarterbacks, even if it's Jackson Dart, whoever they put out there. They could have a good week, bad week sort of thing where they're all of a sudden they're winning 7-8 games. They're in the mix there.
I talk so much about environment when we do quarterbacks in the draft, and usually it's talking about good quarterbacks going to a bad environment and being ruined. I'll be fair, this might be the reverse of that. I'm not super high on Jackson Dart, but Malik Neighbors is there. Brian Daboll's a great mind. They've done some work on that offensive line. They may, when I say be able to make it work with him, can they get to 7 or 8 wins with him as a rookie? Maybe. All right, let's pick it up. NFC North.
Vikings. I know that's a tough division, but I still like the Vikings.
I'm going Packers.
I'm a believer in J.J. McCarthy.
I think this is the best division in football. This could be a 4 playoff team division. I think all 3 wild cards in the NFC could come out of the NFC North. NFC South.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Still the Buccaneers division for now, but do not sleep on the Atlanta Falcons, as we previously discussed.
I will not, I promise.
All right, this is what I think is the worst division in football, the NFC West. Somebody has to win it. Dolloff.
I'm banking on the 49ers bouncing back and taking that division back this year. I think they have enough there. I think it was just an off year in terms of injuries and weird stuff going on off the field, like Brandon Ayuk's contract and all that stuff. I know they have injuries now, but I think they have enough coming back this year that they'll have a bounce back.
I think they have the best roster. That team is just so injury prone. I'm going to go the Seahawks because I think they have the highest floor. Well, we'll see. If Matthew Stafford's healthy, the Rams should win the division. I guess McVay said today he is expected to play on Sunday. 30-something-year-old quarterback with a bad back, though. I don't feel great betting on that. Maybe that's shame on me. But
yeah, the Seahawks. I mean, they're gonna have to have an elite secondary Legion of Boom type season. I feel to win that division. I'm not a big believer in Sam Darnold. You need Jackson Smith and Jigba to be an all-pro type receiver.
So here's the thing. I think that division winner could be 8-9. I think it could be one of those years, or 9-8. You might not have a double-digit win team in that division.
Like that year, was it the Saints?
That was the
7-9 and won.
And then won they beat the Saints in that playoff game. And no, it was the Seahawks were 7-9, beat the Saints. That was the Marshawn Lynch beast mode run game.
That's what made me think of it. Yeah, it was the Seahawks. Yeah.
All right, so Super Bowl pick, real quick.
Oh man, I can't believe I didn't even think of my Super Bowl pick.
I'm going Ravens over Packers. Jeez. Lamar's got to get his.
All right, I'm going Bengals.
Oh,
over the Vikings.
Okay,
I'll take the Vikings going to the Super Bowl.
That would be quite the Super Bowl.
I think the Bengals have a bounce back in terms of just the overall team play, and they get another similar year out of Burrow and Chase, and they finally push through and get there. And this is their year.
So we both have AFC North versus NFC North.
Ooh, we do.
Look at that. All right, that's your Around the League. It is a full season preview, but I want to talk a little bit about Week 1. Patriots Raiders talk coming up next as we wrap it up here on the annual Labor Day Sports Hub Patriots season preview.
Patriots Preview 2025 on the Sports Hub.
Hey, wake up. New drinks just dropped at Wendy's. Cold foam, cold brew coffee, and spark.
Patriots like earlier in the show, I was saying they don't necessarily need a Christian Gonzalez to be able to win this game, and that's because they don't have a ton at wide receiver, but their best pass catcher is a tight end. He's kind of he's not a glorified receiver that sort of downplays what Brock Bowers is, but already an elite tight end. He's already in the conversation for best pass catching tight end in the league. And I'm with you, like put Davis on and play physical press man at the line, like really make it hard for him right off the snap. I think that's going to be key to the game, and then have help over the top if you need it. Like really make it hard for them to complete passes to Brock Bowers. Geno Smith is another one like you got to worry about with the other side of that connection there. Like this is a guy that came into Gillette Stadium last year with the Seattle Seahawks, and I thought played an awesome game.
He was good in that game
for the Seahawks. He dropped back, made quick decisions, hit the open guys, and I know it helped that he had a busted coverage on a couple plays like the DK Metcalf touchdown. But if he's dropping back and, one step, two step throwing, getting rid of the ball, like, and you're not on all over Brock Bowers early in the play, like, they could make it hard on you just by the quick passing game. And Pete Carroll, I know he was out of the league for a little bit there, and now he's back. I still give him a chance to, at least look at this Patriots team and look at their personnel and figure out ways to sort of exploit their weaknesses. And I do think he might look at him and say, Milton Williams is out there. We can turn him in in the run game. Like, let's try to get some runs between the tackles there. And so I might be a little even more worried about Ashton Genty in this game than Brock Bowers. Like, I think he's absolutely the real deal. He's going to be one of the best running backs in the league right out of the gate. Don't be the team that has the big time explosive welcome to the NFL debut for Ashton Genty.
No,
don't be the team that he
point.
runs on.
Where the run defense is going to get tested right away. I feel a little better about that because of the Raiders line. West Coast team coming east. How does that go for rookie back in Genty? But
sure,
I think we'll get a relatively quick answer on the Patriots run defense in this game because I think they're going to come in, try to run the ball. On the other side, Max Crosby usually rushes over right tackle.
Yeah.
So that's hopefully a benefit for the Patriots. You get him up against a veteran. Will Campbell can settle in a little more. I think this is a little bit more of a conservative game plan. You want to get the ball out of Drake May's hands quick. Make this secondary tackle. I want to see RPOs. That's the big thing I'm looking for. Like, I think this is a team that you can have some RPO success against. Those outside linebackers, those slot corners, that's a weak spot for this Raiders defense. Can you put those guys in conflict? If you can do that, again, that's RPOs, that's outside runs, that's screens, things like that. I think you are going to be able to move the ball.
Yeah, and I think that is what the Patriots are going to want to do too. They're also going to want to try to run the ball. And you were talking about this with Dendero a little bit earlier, is that put Will Campbell in position to succeed. Make it easy for him. And so I think putting him out there in the run game, getting those runs out to the edge, getting him to the second level to block, like we saw a little bit of that in the preseason, like put him in a spot where he's going to make the play and he's going to open up the lane for Ramondre Stevenson, Travion Henderson, whoever's getting the ball. Like I think they're going to want to do that, and I really think they should. Get Will Campbell in a rhythm. Don't throw him out there. If they put Max Crosby over there on the other side, don't put him on an island, right out of the gate. Say, good luck, kid. Let's block Max Crosby to start your NFL career. Like, get him out in the run game. Get him confident. Get him feeling good about, like, okay, I could do this. I can play at this level. Like, I hope they do some of that, and I hope they run the ball in general.
10 seconds. Does Bill Belichick win tonight?
I'll give him the win tonight.
I think he wins tonight. Thank you to everybody for tuning in to the annual Sports Hub Patriots season preview. Alex Barth, Matt Dolloff, Jake Seymour did a great job behind the glass tonight. Once again, you want more of this content, 985thesportshub.com, the Sports Hub YouTube page, and the Patriots Hub podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll have me and Matt talking Pats once, twice a week through the season. We'll be bringing you plenty of game reactions, game previews, and more. You excited, Dolph?
I'm excited. This is fun as always. I love doing this show every year. We're another one in the books.
And let me say, happy football season, everybody.
Yes.
Happy Patriots season. I'll be back on Sunday. Sports Hub Sunday kickoff with Cerrone Battle. Talk to you then. Until then, have a good week and enjoy the season. Football's back. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Studios, WBZ FM and HD1. It's not just the game, it's Toucher and Hardy. Zolak